Yo, let's go. We are live streaming. I love it. Yo, we are live streaming. Absolutely love it. All right, so let's get Terry inside of here. What's up, everybody? You'll see what we're doing here. We're doing a fun thing for the month of March. Yo, we are live streaming. Absolutely love it. Hey, Terry, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Hey, Marlon. Yeah, man.
Hey, what's happening, brother? How are you?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing excellent. Long time no see. I haven't seen you since the freaking mastermind. What was it like? That was almost like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. You remember, huh? Wow.
Yeah, man. It's been a long time.
Sure has, man. Wow. Yeah. I didn't think you would remember. I thought I have to remind you. It's
Nah,
funny.
dude. You know what? I'm good with like facing. My brain works in like some weird ways sometimes.
Right. I'm with you. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, man.
I,
Dude, how you been?
good, man.
First
I didn't
off,
get a chance. I was out, I was in Tampa. I didn't get a chance to talk to you there,
wait,
actually.
you were in Tampa during
Yeah.
the business mastermind?
Yep. Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, sorry about that, man.
No, that's not your fault, man. I mean, I was, there was just, man, I just never got into the same, area, I guess, as you know what I mean? I saw you like, with asking the question, I was kind of on the other side of the room, in like in the second and third day.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
So,
that honestly, like that mastermind was a ton of fun. Asking that question, I was actually a little nervous asking that question. Like, it's so funny. Like, even like Pace like looked at me and was like, "Bro, you were nervous?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." I was like, I still get nervous about stuff like all the time. Are you kidding me?
yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I could relate, but I think I would be as well. 100%.
Yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
check it out. Like, I'm like doing this based off of it's funny. Like, I was talking with Keston. I'll always talking with Pace, and like, it really comes back to this idea that like giving back is one of the best things we could do. So I wanted
Mhm.
to create this space for being able to answer people's questions or answer any problems and go through and work through whatever. This is like being streamed to my YouTube channel at the
Sure.
same time as well, because I find that when one person has an issue, most people are also going through a similar challenge, but no one ever talks about it.
Yeah, man.
Right. So it's like actually being able to share and be like, hey, this is like what we're going on. So if you're cool with that, we can keep it streaming. If you're not, though, I will end the live and we could just have a private offline conversation.
No, man. Yeah, whatever works for you, man. Whatever. Yeah, I'm good.
Dude, heck yeah. So Terry, like I like to ask people this, like, what's the challenge? Like what's the kind of like what challenge are you facing or what problems going on that we want to figure out?
Um, yeah, man. I'm just having it's kind of some more life issues like for right now. I mean, the bit well, it kind of goes into the business, but um the I actually I'm from Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Currently back there now, like in the Poconos. I know you're familiar with that.
Yep.
So the I moved to North Carolina back in June of last year. And then unfortunately in January, just roughly what a little month and a half ago or so, my stepdad passed away.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, man, I was trying to get everything going in North Carolina, just trying to do like some wholesaling and I was probably gonna my my brother-in-law is an electrical contractor and he was willing to step in and do some flips too. But because the market's pretty good there. It's actually still, they're still getting multiple offers. It's still, everything is really good. And it's in Greensboro, is where I was. And so unfortunately I had to come back here. Not fortunately, but unfortunately help my mom out.
Mhm.
So so yeah, that's kind of I'm like back in here, back in this area, which I do have some leads here from before. I've wholesaled a couple of deals here, in the last probably year and a half or whatever since I met you actually the first time. But it's
Nice.
like I closed a deal like I don't know a month and a half or so after that, and then another one beyond that. But like you know how it is over here. It's a bit of a small, it's a bit of a small market. It's a little tougher to scale anything. So I'm just in the time that I'm here, I'm just looking to at least try to get a few more. You know what I mean? Just try to stack some capital and get a few more here, and then get my mom settled and see what happens from there. I don't. I'm hoping to go back south a bit and kind of restart things there. But I can still do things from here there because I do have some people. I don't know. Well, I don't know. Did you meet in Tampa? You meet John Grove?
John
He was
Grove. No, I
yeah.
don't think so.
Now that he and I
Oh,
went
wait a
he and I
second.
went there.
I think I met. Is he relatively tall?
Yep.
Yep, I did
Yeah.
meet. Good
North
energy.
Carolina. He's got a little North Carolina twang.
Yep, I like John. John's good
Yeah, he's a
energy.
good dude. Yeah, he and I are good friends. I met, he's in Greensboro. When I moved down there, I connected with him, and we just kind of hit it off. And so we went there together. We went to Tampa together,
Yep.
actually. So he's down, if I got anything going on down there, I can kind of partner with him on some stuff. So I do have leads down there as well, because I was just kind of driving around, getting to know the area and driving for dollars at the same time, just kind of getting myself familiar with the area down there. So if I kind of, I'm going to market to leads there as well. And if I have anything between him and also another girl in sub two, Veronica Grimes, she's down there as well. I could probably reach out to her if she wants to do some stuff.
Well, let me ask, what has been your main form of lead generation?
My main form has really just been driving for dollars. I just been driving around trying to do like a niche list of my own, you know what I mean? Just
Hmm.
trying to, that's kind of how I've had success, in the past. I just feel like it's something I enjoy as well. So I
Yeah.
just kind of go out and try to find leads that way for now.
No, I mean, driving for dollars definitely works. Is there a way to essentially create a bird dog program where people will drive for dollars for you and submit those properties addresses with pictures?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 'cause I did that when I was back up in New York. Anytime the Amazon delivery guy came to the house, the mail person,
Hmm.
anybody, I would just hand them a little like a reward program card. Like it would just literally say reward like $1,000, and then on
Hmm.
the other side, it's like my number, and it's just like looking for ugly houses. And I would just like when I would hand it to them, I was like, hey, listen, you're always driving around. If you see houses that are pretty gross and pretty ugly, do me a favor, take a picture of it, text that picture over to me with the property address, and if I'm able to buy the house, I'm going to pay you $1,000. Just make sure when you text it to me that you include your first and last name, so I can make
Hmm.
sure I tag it and I know who to give the payout to.
Nice. Okay.
And then like people, like I would randomly get, like even to now, I still randomly get people, guys that will still send me photos of properties back in Long Island, like back in New
Hmm.
York.
Yeah, sure.
For them, it takes no effort and no time, and like
Hmm.
essentially you're about to create an extra stream of revenue out of nothing for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that a little bit, like especially with male people that I ran into.
Hmm.
Um, I've just given them my card, but nothing, I haven't really created a card like that. That's actually, a great idea, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it
Um,
just reminds them like why they're taking that picture. Like, oh, $1,000, that's right. Like, and like
mhm,
just make it like the same way we put those bandit signs down, and like the bandit signs a big orange, like and just like in your face. Like make
mhm,
your card like not like a business card, because business cards get kind of tossed. But
sure.
like if it's something that's like bright and like it stands out from everything else, then like it gets remembered, and like it just triggers their memory to think, oh yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, the mail, I've had a few of those, probably a handful, and nothing's really, yeah, like you said, I handed my business card and nothing, they're probably tossing that.
Hmm.
So I've gotten nothing from that. I've got a guy that I know, he's a family member, actually, as a cousin. He works for the gas company, and he was doing that for me as well. He was actually sending me photos, pretty often, but nothing came of it yet. But it's been a while, since then as well. But yeah, I love that idea. It's awesome.
Yeah, creating an army out of them. So let me ask, right? Like, with everything going on, you being back up in like the Poconos area,
Mhm.
what is it that you want to accomplish right now? You said you want to get like a couple more deals done. Like, what does that actually look like if you're getting more specific?
Um, Really, it's in my head right now. It's kind of just wholesale, just some wholesale deals. I do have buyers here that there's a couple of realtors that I have relationships with that have each have like a handful of buyers that are still doing flips. So I can definitely take it to them. Kind of anything I get. I keep in touch with them. And even when I was in North Carolina, I was still going to do some marketing to some, just some like residual ones that I had here, from my past, just driving around. And I had when the market kind of shifted a bit, I gave them a call and was like, hey, you guys still buying? Are your buyers still out there looking? They're like, yeah, absolutely, man. Just whatever you got, shoot it to me.
Dope.
So.
So you've got buyers. How
Mhm.
much do you want to make from wholesaling? Like, have you like identified a number that you're like, hey, this is the target I want to hit?
Mhm. Um, well, this year, I mean, I guess my first target is just kind of try to make that, you know, like 50 to 100K. Just really try to make that first, that first plateau. Just try to hit that. That's kind of like my where my mind is right now.
Okay, so 50 to 100K in what time frame within the year?
Um, let's see. We're kind of beginning of March now, so I mean, realistically, I don't know if it would have to take that long. It just depends on, what kind of leads I can find. But I mean, I would like to do it sooner. I mean, if I could do it in the next 6 to 8 months, that would be, ideal.
Right. Okay. So,
So it's kind of getting towards the end of the year, but
yep. I mean, we're only in March, bro. We got some time.
right. Yeah, for
We got
sure.
like another 10 months here, right?
Yeah.
So we've got so with 50 to 100K, that's like a big range, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it is. Yeah.
so what do we like? Because if you were to narrow it down and basically you came in, I want you to think about it like this. You in your business, you work in your business currently. So if you
Hmm.
were to hire somebody to come and work for you and they're like, hey Terry, I'm on board to come and work and like create your vision, but like
Hmm.
what is your vision? Right. Like it's like if I have the contractor and he says, he's like, hey, what do you want to build? I'm like, well, I want to build a house that's, maybe like make the house like 50 to 100 feet long.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Right. Like he's gonna say, well, which is it? 50 feet, 100 feet? Is it 75 feet? Like where
Hmm.
where do I set this at the minimum where you're not gonna come back and say, you know what, you built 50, but I actually wanted 75.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
like it's
Exactly.
like, are you saying like 50? Like if you got to 50, you're like, I'm happy, or it's like, hey, you know what, actually 80 is my number, or 100's actually my number.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say, yeah, I would say 100 is my number. Yeah, I would definitely say that. And
Awesome.
the only thing that kind of like is kind of like a roadblock to that in my head, in my own head, I guess it would be, is that it's, I don't want to like I would like to set up a wholesale, as a wholesale business as best I could anyway, but I don't not necessarily don't want it to be centralized here. You know what I mean? I left here for a reason. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Because I know I don't really think it's sustainable, here because it's such a small area. And if that's the case, I would have to reach, out to probably, far beyond where I am in my own local little, community here. I'd have to head more so to the Lehigh Valley or something like that, to Allentown, Bethlehem, in that area.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's not a terrible thing, but it's like, I would have to probably, have some people down there as well because that's, it's a good 45, or so
Well,
minute drive.
don't limit yourself on the sense of like, I know you've done your deals from driving for dollars, right? And physically being there.
Hmm.
There's still virtual driving for dollars, like that still works. Obviously, not as well as in person. And
Hmm.
there are still other forms of lead generation that can be tapped into. Where I've never done when I lived in New York, all of my deals were done out. Like I've never done a deal in New York while living there.
Sure.
Like not
Hmm.
at least not a wholesale deal.
Hmm.
Right. So it's like my market was always virtual. So I've always been virtual.
Yeah.
And a major limiting factor I had in the beginning was I was convinced, absolutely convinced that I needed to be there. That like I added something special to physically being there. And what I
Hmm.
realized was that just wasn't the case. It's you go to where the deals are, you go to where the money is, you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Hmm. Yeah,
So
I think I'm kind of struggling a little bit with that the same. I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge, as far as where I was in Greensboro, but same, I've always felt like I had to be the guy there. I had to be the boots on the ground, you know what I mean? So I think I suffer from the same.
because let me ask, when you find these properties, is it that you're door knocking them or is it you're skip tracing them and like sending them mail and getting them on the phone?
Yeah, it would be, I mean, for me, what I've done in the past, I didn't really get when I was in North Carolina, I really didn't. I texted a few people. That was kind of the more so my vehicle for that would be more text because anytime I've cold called, I really haven't had a tremendous amount of success with that.
Mhm.
Um, but that's what I have done. Like in the deals that I've gotten, it was a text,
Nice.
and I did some mail too. Direct
Perfect.
mail was one hit too. Was direct mail, but that
So
was kind of it was like that was a broad thing because it was also I text them initially, and then they weren't ready, then I sent a mail, so I spent a
yeah.
couple, I think. So
Dude, so Terry, that's awesome. You know why? because even though you lived there, you were still virtual. You were still doing it like you were texting and sending mail. You weren't physically like standing face to face, belly to belly with them. So your business, and this is what like helped shift my paradigm when someone said that to me. Well,
Mhm.
one of my first mentors, he said to me, "It's like even if you're doing deals in your backyard, he's like you're doing it virtually. Like you're not, even if the house is around the corner from you, you're still calling the person. You're still like sending them a text message. You're still doing all the stuff from your bedroom, from your house, from your office space. So if
Right.
that's the case, it doesn't actually matter where your market is, because at the end of the day, you're still like, were you meeting your buyers at the house, or were you letting your buyers go and walk the house as well?
Um, the first time, no, I did not. I actually had a lockbox on the first one, and yeah, the realtor took the buyer there. I never met him. Never. The
Yep.
second time was a little different. I didn't put a lockbox on that. They actually had the back door had like a combination lock on it, like
Hmm.
one of those. I don't forget what it was, but what brand it was. But you could literally punch in a number and get in. So at first, the homeowner didn't want me to give it out, the actual combination. So I did have to meet them there. So I did end up meeting them, but the realtor was the one who walked them through because it was literally their buyers. So
Yeah.
I didn't really like physically have to be inside. I just opened up for them.
So check it out though. You've already done all the systems and processes to run a virtual business. You might not have viewed it as being virtual, but you've
Mhm.
already operated and made money with this business virtually.
Right.
So you're able to still hit your goal by being where the money is, being where the opportunity is. I remembered one night I was sitting down with Pace, and he said this to me because this is back when I was living in New York. And we're asking him like, hey, how do we make subject to work in New York? It's so hard with the attorneys and this and this and this and this and this. And he goes, okay, let's just look at something. Because he's like, you've heard his opinion on this. He will never do a deal in New York ever, right? Just because
Right.
it's not the state that he wants to be in. And he goes, this is like being told the gold rush is happening, right? The California gold rush is occurring, and everyone's racing out to go dig and hit their riches. And you're like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm going to be a part of this gold rush as well. And so you run out, you buy a shovel, and you just start digging. And now some people start to walk by and they're like, Terry, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you digging right now? And like, bro, you didn't hear it's a gold rush. I'm digging for gold. And they're like, yeah, but Terry, that's happening in California. Like,
Mhm.
there's no gold underneath your feet right now. So if you're in a market where you feel like there isn't gold underneath your feet, or the pool of gold, that vein of gold is very, very faint and very, very small, but Greensboro, which I agree with you, Greensboro is a ridiculously good market right now still,
Mhm.
then you can still set your systems up so that you are able to capture those opportunities, those deals from those places, and be able to work them through.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
makes sense. Yeah.
if the goal is to get to 100,000, have you identified what you are looking for as a minimum on a deal? Like when you get a contract, like what does the minimum contract essentially net?
Um, the first, I guess it would be the similar to the two wholesales that I've done would be somewhere in the 10 to 15 range would be the minimum.
All right. So if it's going to be in the 10 to 15, I'm going to call it 12.5.
Sure.
All right. So 12,500. And
That's
this is
roughly about what
because
I did. Yeah.
we want to understand essentially what it takes to get there. So if I'm
Hmm.
looking at $100,000 is what I want to earn, and my deals will net me about 12,500. I'm looking at I need to be able to produce 8 deals,
Hmm.
right? So what's nice about that is now we have like a definite number to work with. We have a like, hey, I got to produce 8 deals, right? Now,
Right.
8 deals in the course of the next 10 months, it's definitely doable,
Hmm.
right? So if we're breaking that down even further, I mean, that's less than a deal per month. So like when we start looking at it from that standpoint, now we've got to ask ourselves the question of what does it look like to produce one deal? Like what does it take to produce one deal? Like from your work and the things that you've done, how many leads did it take generating to produce a single deal? Did you keep track of those numbers?
Um, honestly, let's see, the first two I did, it actually only, it was within the first like three people I ever reached out to, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Like for real. Like the first person I ever reached out to when I just first started doing any of this was was the second deal I closed. it just took a longer period of time to get them, to say yes.
Yep.
Um, the second person I ever called, they were interested, but they didn't like the number, that I had for them. And eventually they did sell that deal as well. But I got back to them I followed up with them a little too late, like different times, but they did end up selling that deal as well. And then the third one, I mean, this was literally like kind of all at once. Like the third one that I contacted was the first one I ever did. And that actually happened pretty quick.
Nice.
Well, to get it under contract happened pretty quick.
Yep. And those
Mhm.
all came from driving for dollars.
Yeah, all of them. Yep.
Nice. So I see why you like driving for dollars, right? Like it worked for you. It worked out well.
hmm
So since then, what that was like very early on. Since then, what's going on? What's occurred since then?
Um, since then, it's been kind of much of the same. I've been reaching out to ones that, like, before I left here, so say like this time last year or beginning of last year, was like the second one I closed was April of last year. So
Mhm.
then in that time frame as well, it was just basically I was doing the same thing. I was reaching out via text and mail to just about, I might have had between 30 and 40 leads that were I got driving for dollars that I thought were like pretty solid leads. Um, and really nothing, I didn't get anything from that because it was kind of also in that time frame where, the market was still pretty good and people were throwing stuff on the market that still didn't look very good, but people were still buying them because people were just, just gobbling things up, especially, like people from New York wanting to move over here like in folds, man. They're just, in droves, they're moving over here. They're still doing it.
Yep.
So I didn't get anything that way. But then that's when I was like, I really was kicking it around in my head, moving because I just wanted to be a little bit further south because I enjoy the warmer weather. I don't want to be up here in the winter. You know what I'm saying? So I that's so in the big kind of big. So I closed that deal end of April. So about a month and a half, 2 months later is when I moved to Greensboro. So I kind of shifted things for myself. I moved to Greensboro and tried to get it off the ground there. And then that's what I did there. Same thing, driving for dollars, driving around there. Then mostly what I did there was just reaching out via text. So I didn't send any mail there.
Okay. So when you go out and door knock, I mean, how many? So although you got, so this is what I was actually having this conversation over the weekend, right?
Mhm.
Like even when we get deals early on, it still is a numbers game, right? Because like you have
Yeah.
a deck of cards and it's like you're trying to find the joker in the deck, and like it's in there somewhere, and like it might be the first card that you flip over, but you still
Mhm.
got the deck of cards and it has 52 cards inside there. So you still have to go through your entire deck before you get into the next deck of cards where your next joker lies, and then your next deck of card where your next joker lies. So you might have pulled your winnings right off the top, but you still have to go through this. So
Yep.
when you kept building up, you had about what you said, about 30, 40 leads in your pipeline.
Just for Pennsylvania. Yeah, where he was here in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
For North Carolina, I probably have more like 50 or 60 right now
Nice.
for there.
Yep.
So that's what I'm just gonna start actually in my head. This week was the first week that I really, so the call, your post on Facebook kind of came like at a great time because this is the first week that I've really had time to kind of settle in here because like I said, I came back home end of January because of that. And then like 3 weeks later, my uncle passed away. So my mom's brother, so my mom got hit like
Yep.
bam, bam, double. And then I had the Tampa trip, so I literally had to drive back to North Carolina because our flight was out of Raleigh, so I had to drive 8 hours back to North Carolina, get our flight from Raleigh, spend the 5 days we did in Tampa, then come back to Greensboro, drive all the way back home to Pennsylvania. So this is like, and my uncle's memorial service was on Saturday, so
Wow.
like yeah, so this is like the
Hectic
first.
schedule.
Yeah. So this is the first week, the first really day that I've actually been able to try to, get in here and kind of settle in. It's kind of archaic what I do as well because I don't have a full CRM set up. I still got like TTP lead sheets that I use
That
that
honestly, like
that
that's
works for my brain.
yeah, you know what? It works. Like I have pen and paper next to me at all times, right? Like this is
Mhm.
how I work. It's like I probably throw away paper at the end of every day, but like it's just how I process and work through today. And
Mhm.
until you've got like a team of a lot, you really don't need a CRM yet. I know everyone kind of
Yeah.
tries to sell the CRM right away. And the truth is, like, you can easily, like, you can hit 100K without a CRM. There's
Mhm.
no question about it. Brent Daniels,
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 million without a
Right.
CRM.
Yeah.
So really with your numbers there, knowing you've got to get to 8 deals, knowing you've got to continue to generate leads, what will be your main source of lead gen, knowing that you won't be able to necessarily drive for dollars in North Carolina. You've got
Mhm.
your properties up there, which, being in a smaller market actually can lend itself to an advantage. Like you pointed out earlier, where if they don't have a lot of other options to sell it to, and you're the only person they're having conversation with, I know plenty of guys that do like in these tertiary markets where no one is, that
Mhm.
they basically run the entire market simply because there's no one else out there.
Right.
They're the only people having the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, so my thoughts were, as far as like the North Carolina market goes, I think I have a a good enough handle on that market right now in the at least centrally where I was, that I could probably pull a list, if I needed to in that market, like within like a certain zip codes, and know, which ones were good areas. And also, virtual driving for dollars is I can do that as well, there, because I know I've got like some areas, some pockets in certain areas down there that I really wanted to get to, but didn't get an opportunity to drive through them, but did a little bit driving, virtual driving.
Yeah.
So definitely going to do that. And then it really just depends, just try to see if if I can, hook up with some people down. There was one guy who was like a newer sub 2 student who reached out to me. He was in the next town over, uh, a small town called Kernersville. He was in that town. So, and I just told him what I would be looking for, so just try to do that as well. And I got
Yeah.
some other leads.
Well, Terry, leverage the fact that like you've done deals, right? Like, so you've actually have completed a loop. That's
Mhm.
valuable to a lot of people because they haven't done that yet. So to
Okay.
find someone who has completed a loop is like mind blowing to them, right? Because you
Mhm.
can help walk them through the process. So in exchange, you can let them know, hey, this is what we need you to do. I need you to go out and generate the opportunity and then bring it back, and then I'll help you put it on the contract. I'll help you underwrite it. I'll help you, and we'll just JV the deal.
Mhm.
You can get a lot of people to start bringing opportunities to you that way. I've got a lot of my deals were done with people bringing me opportunity because I finally had the experience of having closed deals, that I was able to bring that value to the table. I was able to bring that confidence, because that's what it is. It's a confidence that you now
Yeah.
get to bring to the table because you're like, hey, I know this works. Whereas like in the beginning, you remember that feeling very clearly of like the first time of being like so uncertain with everything. Like it's just
Yeah.
every word that came out of your mouth, you're like, is this even it? So
Right.
don't be afraid to leverage that, because, and it's going to feel a little different if you're not used to putting yourself out there, right? It's like,
Mhm.
do I have the credibility to be saying what I'm saying? That's how it grows. Like the more you start to put yourself out there, you don't need to know the entire book. You just have to be a chapter ahead.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
You're just a chapter ahead of the person that came behind you.
Mhm.
Now, that's for essentially being able to bring someone on and help them with the lead generation, because your lead generation, you don't ever want to let that turn off, especially if your goal here is to hit that 100K mark and to
Mhm.
hit that 6-figure mark, right?
Mhm.
You want to be generating enough opportunities to give yourself the space to talk to these people. As far as
Mhm.
following up on your leads, how have you been with following up on the opportunities that already exist in your pipeline?
Um, I really haven't really done a whole lot of that, like in the last, say, several months, really, to be honest. Like, because I was concentrating more on North Carolina than I was anything back here, so I didn't really, do anything with the leads that I have here. So
What about the North Carolina leads? Were you following up on those?
yeah, yeah. As much as like I didn't reach out to a ton of them because like I said, I didn't have I didn't have buyers, at first then, because I was actually concentrating on that in the beginning, like trying to find. I knew some people there, I knew some realtors there,
Mhm.
And I actually looked up, you know, just stuff that was on the market, trying to get some buyers that way too, just realtors and people who were obviously doing fix and flips, right?
Yep.
By just what they were selling. So once I kind of knew that I reached out to, a realtor that had several, and a guy that owned a home investors franchise there. I got some stuff in the mail, from him, and reached out to him. So once I got some of those, I felt a little bit more confident. Then okay, so if I actually find something, I have that confidence that I could probably move it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Outside of, because that's what the first deal I did. I didn't have any. I just had a deal. I was like, holy cow, man, what am I gonna do here? So
So what's cool right now is then you have, so let me make sure I'm hearing correct. Currently, you do have at least 1 to 3 buyers in each of your markets in the
mhm.
Greensboro and even up here in Poconos.
Yeah, I have about I would say I have a handful in Greensboro, say like five.
Dope.
And in up here I have 10 or 12. Yeah, I have a decent amount here.
Perfect. So you've got more than enough buyers right now. Like
Hmm.
I'm under the premise, like as long as you have one solid good buyer, you've got enough to like go be dangerous.
Right.
So with that being the case, there's a deal sitting inside your pipeline currently,
Hmm.
right? Like if there are people that were interested in selling who haven't sold yet, there's a deal there because you already know this. Like it's a follow-up game. The
Yep.
money is made in the follow-up.
Hmm.
I don't think I've only ever had maybe 1 or 2 like first call closes.
Hmm.
Everything else has been like weeks and months of follow up.
I agree. Yeah.
So I would start reaching out to all of the people, still be generating new leads, but I would make it a point to reach out to every single person and have a conversation with them, see where they're at as far as the selling process, right?
Hmm.
Just checking back in with them and asking, like, hey, I just wanted to follow up with you. You and I spoke, a few months back. You probably don't even remember me. You probably still get a ton of these phone calls, but I wanted to know, did you ever end up selling?
Hmm.
And if they say no, well, why not? And if they say yes, congratulations. How was that process? Amazing. Do you have anything else that you would like to sell? Right.
Right.
So even if they say yes, still find out they might have something else they want to sell. Right.
Hmm.
And ask them. And if they're like, no, I have nothing else to sell, like, hey, well, before I let you go, just out of curiosity, what's next? Like, what are you planning to do next? Are you buying another property or figuring out what's going on? If you built good rapport with them, those are potential private money lenders as well if they just got a lump sum of cash.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. There's the last, yeah, well, the two that I sold, it was, the one was a property. I don't know, the guy just left it and he literally moved to like Jersey.
Mhm.
So and the other one was yeah, it was an inherited property, so they definitely have, you know, a lump sum of, it was like 135K that they split between three people, but they,
Yeah,
actually got that cash.
it's a decent amount of cash to come into.
Hmm.
So from that standpoint of like being able to like, does it feel like it's doable to go out and get 8 deals in the coming months that could essentially each deal on averages, and like what I like is your numbers aren't like crazy, like 12,500, like that's an average wholesale assignment right there.
Sure. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I believe it 100%. Yeah, yeah, I have no doubt really. It's just a matter, like you said, just a matter of the outreach and the follow up. And yeah, I totally, yeah, it's totally doable. It's just a matter of being consistent. That's the main thing, is consistency.
Yep. Now let me ask for yourself personally, like now that you've kind of been back up there, what's it like being back in that environment?
Um, I'm trying to like, I'm trying to like kind of get through it mentally a little bit, because I wasn't, like I said, I didn't, it's not something I wanted to do, was, to stay here, but
Mhm.
it's all right. And I'm just kind of coming to terms with it and trying to kind of get it straight in my head so I can, just focus on what I got to do, in whatever that looks like, between the two markets, that's trying to get my head focused on, okay, so this is what I got to do. I know what'll work here, as far as like, just being able to drive around and find some other deals maybe in places that I never hit before, and then being like you're talking about, as far as North Carolina, being able to just market to those, and know that I have the buyers there as well. So
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Terry. What needs to be true about your environment that's going to allow you to hit your goal?
Um, I don't know, man. I just gotta like, I mean, I think I've just had the time to let it process a bit in my head. And so I think I got that focus now. I just have to like, I think my focus needs to be more so on not the, the fact that, oh, man, I had to like, come back here and all this sort of thing, kind of just get that out of my head, you know what I mean? And not let that, not let that kind of get, in the way of what I need to do.
Mhm.
And just basically just actually just put the blinders on, man, and just start cranking out.
Yeah.
That's what I have to do.
And let's even like change the perspective on it, right? A little bit. Like, and I know you mean it in a good way, but let's make
Mhm.
it even better, which is, you don't have to come back there. You get to go back home. You get to go and take care of your mother, right? You
Yeah,
get to
exactly.
be there for her during probably one of the toughest times of her life.
Mhm.
And you have a vehicle that allows you to earn money from virtually anywhere on the planet,
Yeah.
right? Like, and it's like that is insane that you have that. Like, right? You didn't have to call anyone and say, like, hey, can I take off for a week to go home? Like, you were able to just make the decision to get up and go. And now
Yeah,
while
I'm
you're
so
up there,
grateful for that. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Mhm.
like that's huge. Now, with being up there as well, right? Like you have an opportunity to essentially unplug from any sort of distractions that you may have had back home as well,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Where it's like, all right, cool. Like you're up here, you've got a purpose, right? It's taking care of mom and it's growing the business, it's hitting this goal,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
How can we do
Mhm.
both of these?
Mhm. Right. Yeah, yeah, that's basically been my mindset. You know what I mean? That's basically been 100% focus is those exact two things. That's it. So,
Nice.
mm.
Let me ask, what's in your environment that acts as like a reminder? Do you have, it's like I know it's like the walls are like pretty bare. Do you have like a whiteboard or like a
Yeah, it's
mirror?
right above me right here. It's
Okay,
literally, you can't see it. It's literally right above me. Yeah.
awesome. And on there, do you have essentially the targets?
Not yet. That like I said, this is like the first day, literally the
Nice.
first day. So yeah, that's what I've really got to like get everything, situated. I've had things on there before, you know what I mean? But like I literally had to take it off the wall in North Carolina and throw it in my truck and bam, I'm up here. So like this is literally like the first day of that process of really starting to, align my own environment to lend to exactly what I need to do.
So I do that. Like, yeah, I want you to put on there, right? Like if your goal, if that number is 100,000, right? So
Hmm.
that number should be at the top of that board, nice and clear, right?
Yep.
You know that that means each deal, right? You want to define what a deal is because so many people are saying, well, I got to get a deal. I got to get a deal. I got to get a deal. Very few people ever define what a deal is. So you'll
Hmm.
find that some people get deals for $1,000. Some people get deals for $100,000. The only difference is what the person that got the $1,000 deal, that's in their mind, that's what a deal constituted as. The person who
Hmm.
got the $100,000 deal, in their mind, that's what a deal constituted as. There are people that do consistent, like high five-figure, high six-figure deals because they're looking for it.
Yeah, right.
So
Mhm.
we get what we're looking for. So if you know, hey, right now my brain tells me a deal is 12,500, and I don't have to argue with my mind on that one. Like my mind already accepts that reality. Work with it for now. Work with that nature. That number can always increase. However, for now, work with it.
Mhm.
Right. So 8 deals. So a deal equals 12,500. We got to do 8 deals to hit our goal.
Right.
Right. And then we now need to break up what that looks like from a lead generation standpoint of like, hey, how many people do I need to talk to daily? Right. And I'd make a goal for you to be having 20 conversations daily. Like if you really want to hustle and grind this, a
Mhm.
fun way to look at it too is like if you want to hit your goal, think about what would it take to scale your goal, right? Like your goal is to hit 100,000, right? What would it take from you to hit 500,000?
Mhm.
Because that's the amount of effort it's actually going to take.
Right.
So if like, hey, I gotta be generating this many leads, or I gotta talk to this many people, or I've got to put in this amount of time underwriting deals, whatever it is, multiply that by 5.
Okay.
Right? I know we hear multiply it by 10, but multiply it by 5 because you still
Mhm.
have other things in your life going on.
Right.
And that's the effort required.
Got it.
Do you see anything that would prevent you from being able to pull this off?
No, man. No way. Not at all.
Hell yeah, I love it. And
Yeah,
then
no way, man.
let me ask final thing. What's the support system look like for you? Like, where do you go to recharge when you're because you're going to be able to jump into it. And at some point, your batteries are going to get drained. How do you
Mhm.
recharge?
Um, as far as like, how do you mean like recharge? Just kind of get away from the business or recharge in the business?
Recharge both. Like, how do you prevent yourself from burning out? Or like, if you do get burnt out, how do you get back into the saddle?
Um, if I feel, if I feel kind of just like it's, everything's just a lot, you know what I mean? Or I've just been, cranking this thing and I've had no time to just breathe or do anything else. You know what? I just kind of chill and listen to music, man. I just turn it all off and just kind of recharge that way. The- there's uh there's certain music that'll just allow me to it just kind of fills me up. So I'm able to do it that way. Or just 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 go out, just get outside, man, and just be out and in nature or whatever, just kind of walking around, whatever the case may be, just kind of let my mind kind of, just empty out that way, just kind of get a little bit of exercise, you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Nice. So I love that, right? Like, so you've identified the few things that like bring energy back to you. And let me ask, when you're at like the mastermind, like how does it feel like when you're around like other like-minded people? Like, does that like boost your energy? Does it drain your
Holy
energy?
cow. Yeah, man, 100%. I'm still on that, man. I'm still kind of on that high. That was phenomenal, man. It was so great. So yeah, and made us so many, awesome connections with, with new people, a lot of new people. Some people I knew a little bit and got to have like a better connection with them. And then a lot of new people, I was like having a conversation with Kyle Frizzell. I don't know if you know Kyle or not. Um he's the one that bought that deal from Abraham and Kevin Show at the actual mastermind. He
Yeah. Kyle, and bigger guy, like Kyle's pretty
big,
big.
yeah, big
Yep. Yeah. I
dude.
like Kyle.
Yeah.
And I don't,
I
you know
had
what?
a
I never get people's last names, but I like Kyle a lot.
Yeah, that's the first time I met him. I met him at the it was the last evening at the Sub 2 meetup that at Andre's Airbnb there.
Mhm.
It was like that on Monday night. And we were just talking and I was just like, "Hey man, like, what okay, so you're finding deals, but what do you like, what are you doing? You're buying holds, like what are you doing with them?" He said he's doing different things, just regular, some midterm rentals and some Airbnbs. He's like, "Yeah, it was funny because he goes, I just bought an Airbnb in the Poconos." I'm like, no way, man. I was like, wow. I said, yeah, it's like it's where I live right now, man. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. So like, I mean, if there's something that I find even that, something that would fit in that way as far as because he's looking for more like creative deals, obviously, in that regard, like any kind of seller finance or mortgage method, something like that.
Yep.
So that was like a really cool connection just out of nowhere. So
Yeah, I love that. So I would say something that you could do to help keep your battery pack alive is make it a point that maybe once per week you schedule out a time to give one of the people that you've met that like juiced you up to give
mhm.
them a call, like a 15-minute check-in, like it doesn't have to be like a long drawn out call, but just like, hey, I
Yeah,
just wanted to follow up. It was awesome meeting you. Just want to, continue the conversation, continue to grow the relationship. And you're going to find that like make it about them, like get to know them, pour
mhm.
into them, find out what they're about, and you're going to find that typically it will start to feed you energy because you'll
Mhm.
start to get like re-excited, reignited, especially if they have excitement about what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my plan, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yep.
Dude, you got
Definitely.
like you got a strong game plan, man. Like I'm pretty excited for you actually. I can see what you're gonna do is I can see it happening because you have a plan and it looks like you're focused. It looks like you're locked and loaded.
100%. Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, just grateful to have like just been in that environment and then kind of have your post follow-ups. I was like, oh, cool, because I didn't get a chance to,
Yeah.
to connect with you. And then, and I'm just shocked. I'm actually shocked that you remembered who I was. It's awesome because I have the same kind of, if you want to call it a superpower. I just remember everybody's faces and names all the time. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of the same way.
I'm working on the names still. The names take me a little while. Like if I don't use a name and people pick this up on, like I just tell them like right away as soon as I meet them, I'm like, hey, listen, I'm gonna say your name an uncomfortable amount of times as I meet you because I need to say it like 30 times for it to stick. So
Mhm.
like now you're not gonna question why I'm just like, hey Terry. Like it's like I'm just gonna say
Right.
your a lot, but it's
No,
because
no
I
worries.
want to remember your name.
Mhm.
Because I'll remember faces, but I want to be able to remember names.
Mhm.
That's when my Siri started talking to me.
No
You
worries.
know, so is there anything that I can help with? Is there anything that you feel like I might be able to provide some value with?
Nah, man, you already have, bro. This has been awesome, man. Yeah, this is everything I was kind of, hoping it would be, man. So no, I'm just grateful that you extended it, bro. I really appreciate it.
Good, 100%. Yeah, and I gotta say it's funny actually. When I first opened this up, I didn't. My intention was to make that when one person books the time, then the rest of the day is like taken off the calendar.
Yeah,
And I didn't do that immediately. So I had like three different people that like all booked in today, and I was like, oh crap! Like
right.
I got like a heavy Monday because I already had some stuff to do for I'm traveling this weekend. But
Sure.
it's like it's so funny where I'm like, you know what? This is ultimately like what we do. Like we pay it forward. Like we give back.
Hmm.
So even like how you have some of the newer people reaching out to you, you're
Hmm.
able to start paying it forward and paying it back because it's just that's where you're at. You're a chapter ahead of other people. So that's going to
Right.
help your business grow as well.
Right. That's kind of where, yeah, I mean, yeah, I want to do that. I would love to do that. I actually enjoy it. There's
Yeah.
a couple of people that I know, like I used to live in South Florida. I used to live in like the Fort Lauderdale area too. And some people that I have connected with through the church I used to attend there. Like they were, I kind of meet with them actually in a program like every Tuesday. So they've, this one guy, through just conversations has like he is a part of like a company that has this huge land project that they're trying to build homes down there like 558 acres or something like that. So and I was like, yeah, I mean, I might be able to help you, man. I'm there are some connections with people and sub too that I could try to figure out, like people who do land, like some people that I've heard anyway. I don't know them, but at the very
Rogers.
least, I met him. Yeah,
Yep.
I met him
Yeah,
at
he was
in
down there with
Tampa.
us that weekend. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good guy.
I met him. And
He's one of our land guys.
what's that?
I say he's one of our land guys inside sub too. So it's like
Yeah,
anything
I
land,
saw
like
that him
Matt
and Jeff
Rogers.
Smith, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So so that was one person, the two people that I actually came into mind when he said that. And then also if they were looking to actually just sell off the lots, that's the two people that came into my brain. And then also if they were actually looking to develop, there's a guy, I don't know if did you meet the guy that was there that owns the bank in New Zealand? Did you meet that guy? His name was Brett Bennett.
You know what? No, I didn't get to sit down and have a conversation with him. Like a couple people in his
I did. It was holy cow, crazy. Like it was right after Pace's podcast on Sunday
Yep.
night. I got to meet him. I was sitting right, well, I met him a little before that actually, but he came to the podcast and afterwards I was talking with him. Ingrid was there as well. And Tyler Townsley was there as well. And we were talking and Kyle as well. And he was just telling us like how he's, trying, he has got all this money to lend out and he's trying to do it for entrepreneurs at like low percent money.
Yep.
So that was the other guy that came into my mind. So if I can kind of help that guy out that way, and there's another girl who's kind of same thing, falling on some hard times, I'm like, well, I can help you out with wholesaling. I could teach you how to do that. So that's and I know the South Florida market a lot too because, like I said, I lived there for a while, and I used to work in sales, so I drove all over the place. So I know that area specifically like the back of my hand.
Yeah, if you sit down and you end up teaching some people some stuff, right? Like set it up over a Zoom call, teach it to them,
Mhm.
and let them know, like, hey, I'm going to teach you this, but I'm also going to record it. And the reason I'm going to record it is because in case someone else ever comes along after you, we can also show them this. So they might have the same questions that will get answered in this video. So now it dual purposes for when someone else comes along and says, hey, Terry, can you help me out? It's like, yeah, watch this video first, and then let's jump on a call and tell me what questions you still have.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Building clones,
Building
like Pace
clones.
says, building
It,
clones.
it helps. It's a major.
Love it. Yeah, love that.
Well,
Awesome.
sweet. Well, Terry, I'm glad we got to connect, man. I'm glad we got to reconnect here.
Yeah, me too, man. Grateful, man. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot you a text because I see your number right there. I'm gonna shoot you a
Yep.
text, lock me in. And if you ever need anything, just feel free to reach out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I will, man. Likewise, whatever you need, if I could help you as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. All right, brother. Well,
Absolutely.
I'll let you get back to your day. You enjoy the rest of the morning.
Yeah, you too, bro. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
take care.
Mon.